Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. I am here today with Kristel de Groot. Kristel de Groot is the co-founder of Your Super, a next-generation industry leader in plant-based living, transparent supply chain, and one-on-one giving. The company was created when de Groot's partner and co-founder, Michael Ketch, was diagnosed with cancer at age 24. And together with her orthomolecular nutritionist mom and aunt, she developed superfood and plant protein mixes to help boost Michael's immunity and overall health. The direct-to-consumer business was founded in Berlin, but quickly spread to 6 continents. And in 2018, the headquarters were moved to Venice, California. Kristel is responsible for developing the formulas, all packaging and branding, and currently acts as Chief Marketing Officer. Kristel was recently named one of Forbes 30 Under 30 and Inc. magazine's 30 Under 30. She has been featured in Style, Well and Good, Thrive Magazine, and Good Day LA. De Groot holds a BBA in Finance and Accounting from Valdosta State University and MSc in Management from Cass Business School, London. Kristel received her certification in plant-based nutrition from Cornell University, graduated from INN as a plant-based health coach, and she has completed her 200-hour yoga teaching training, and she's a former tennis pro. So if that doesn't make you tired just listening, this girl has just invested in knowledge, growing her business, health, so many things. It was just an awesome conversation today. We talked about getting into more of a plant-based lifestyle and incorporating the rainbow of vegetables and fruits and grains, nuts, seeds, and learning to take our taste buds away from processed, overpowering foods and tune into natural, whole, and holistic foods to better our health, our wellness, to throw away the scale and listen to our bodies and focus internally on the things that actually light the body up, give us more energy, make us less tired and less, I don't know, all encompassed with thinking that health is the way that we look, health is the way being skinny or whatever. It's more about a holistic wellness. She talked easy ways to incorporate the cooking to make the plants taste great. It was so good today. And we talked about her new book that's coming out really soon. Probably the week after this episode, Your Super Life Cookbook, all about the super way of eating. So I hope you guys really enjoy this episode. We're going to dive in. I know everybody is all about plant-based nutrition these days. So we are going to really get you excited and inspired to eat a fresher, cleaner diet. Without further ado, let's dive into this episode with Kristel. I'm excited to welcome Kristel de Groot to the Sisterhood of Sweat today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You are all about plant-based living and giving. And you have this super life cookbook, a super life like way of eating. How did all this come about? Have you always been about plants, or did you used to be a carnivore?
So actually, I've been a vegetarian since I'm 11. So like quite a long time. And vegan, so really truly plant-based, already for 10 years.
For 10 years. Okay.
Yeah, so it has been a long time. And that really what happened during that time was that Michael, now my husband, at that time, my boyfriend, he had cancer when he was 24. I was 22 at the time. And I watched the movie Forks Over Knives while he was going for chemo. And one of the things that you learn in this movie is how eating and eating meat actually can, or not meat, can turn on or off your epigenetics and reducing your risk of cancer. And to me, that was such a no-brainer, where I was like, oh, okay. I can actually reduce my risk by changing the way I eat. And I was plant-based the next day and turned vegan, and first didn't know what to eat for a month. I only ate the same thing, zucchini and hummus and roasted vegetables. And I was like, there must be more. And really our journey started from there, from doing different detoxes. Yeah, it was, I mean, I can go deep in there. And I had eczema for a long time, which I healed actually by eating plant-based. So it's really, I feel, I was always searching for this, like, what is true health, right? Of feeling really energized and really good. And there are different pillars, right, of like how you influence your health, but what you eat is a huge one of that.
So your journey into, like, you went from vegetarian. Why did you go to vegan? What's the benefit of vegan over vegetarian?
Still a big difference, right? So if you're a vegetarian, I still used to eat some fish. I still obviously ate some dairy, eggs. So there's still quite some big differences there. And if you really think about it, like, I think for anyone listening, right, like that might sound like a really big step. So I always talk about first, just focus on just start eating more plants, right? That is for everyone can relate to that. We all need to eat more fruit and vegetables. 9 out of 10 people don't eat enough fruits and vegetables every single day. And what I always love to say is to actually stop counting calories and stop counting, right, all your carbs, protein, fats, but rather start also counting how many plants you're eating, because the plants, your fruit and vegetables, actually contain all your micronutrients, right? So your vitamins, your minerals, your phytonutrients. And those are the things that antioxidants, we often don't really eat enough of, right? And that are actually determining our health and how we feel on a day-to-day basis. So that is really like where, the basis for everyone, which you all need to be focusing on. And what's interesting, if you start focusing on what you need to eat more of, you often start to eat less of the things you should not, actually eat so much of. So for me, that was really a huge piece of, healing and like really truly becoming healthy. I basically put also Michael after his, right? It's very interesting. You have cancer, you become cancer-free, but you're actually anything but healthy, right? He lost all his hair, his immunity was down, he didn't have any energy, and he used to be an athlete, right? We were both athletes growing up, like played tennis. And then yes, you're cancer-free, but not healthy, right? So from there, I actually put him on the detoxes, and I had this cabinet full of 30 different superfood bags. And he was like, what is this? This is complicated, it's expensive, what do I do? And I had this empty jar where I just threw a bunch of different greens, from wheatgrass, barley grass, spirulina, and different things for him together. And I said, okay, whatever you do, just take this every single day. And I put him on detox with like lots of green smoothies, plant-based salads, and from there, just really focusing on just fueling our bodies with, the foods we actually need. Because I think in our culture, being healthy often goes right away to being skinny, right? And it's often about eating as little as possible. Whereas for true health, you actually do need to eat. It's just about eating a lot of the right things and, cutting out some of the things we shouldn't be eating.
I love that. And how do you get all your protein in on a vegan diet? What are some of the proteins? What are your favorite go-tos?
Yeah. Thank you for asking. Everyone's always asking. I think they're a little bit double-sided, right? I think on one hand, we don't need as much protein as we think we need. And I think there's always this really strong focus on, I need to eat enough protein. There's no one protein deficient in the US, right? So we're good on that end. But protein is in a lot of things we eat. And if you really think about, okay, what are the higher protein things? Obviously, tofu, tempeh, beans, right? Lentils, all those things, nuts and seeds are obviously higher in protein. So there's like, as you're eating and go throughout your day, those are really easy things to just add for your meals. And if you still want to add more, you can always use just a vegan protein powder. It's actually, vegan protein powders are super highly digestible. So if you actually drink them, a lot of it is more absorbed in your body as well. And then you can go to a pea protein, a rice protein, you have quinoa protein, hemp protein. There's so many different
I love the hemp
options nowadays. Hemp protein is fantastic. I love it. Yeah.
But how do you get your B12 then?
B12, I use a supplement. I think so. B12s are very interesting, right? Because it used to be actually in the ground, in the soil, and nowadays not so much anymore. And even if you think about meat, right, where B12, obviously, then the cows, they actually like eat, used to eat the grass and get their B12 from there. But very often nowadays, even the meat is actually injected, and that's then, yes, it's in the meat, but not necessarily naturally. So B12 is a very, like, whether you're vegan or not, there's actually a lot of people who are deficient in B12. So that is just a very good supplement to take. It's not something you have to take every day, because as you take it, it actually is stored in your body. And that's also something you can check. I always recommend people to just like once a year, right, do a check, like on all your, your panels and your vitamins and minerals, and what are the values, and are you low, yes or no? For some people, it was very interesting. Michael, eat the same thing, and he was low and I wasn't, right? So for me, it was a lot easier to actually absorb it and store it than it was for him. So it's just so interesting to see those differences.
It is so interesting. And as a consultant of the root cause protocol, I'm really geeking out on when I do people's blood panels and their hair analysis, looking at where they're going through their magnesium because they have high stress, and maybe they're leaching out their calcium and not storing it, and just like looking at all the levels and being able to recognize when it started, it always came from stress, and what they might need to stop, what they need to do more of. It's just so interesting when you do a panel and find out what the levels are, because otherwise you're just shooting in the dark. And you could be taking hundreds of supplements and not have any idea on what you actually need if you don't get a panel done.
It's what you need, and it's what you're absorbing, right? Because I think also like our digestive systems, like it also just depends. It's not always what you only orally take. It's also what is your digestive system actually truly absorbing into your body again as well. And I think the other piece of it, right, the supplements we take, it's also like, where is that actually coming from? Because there's so many supplements on the market, but 95% are often synthetically derived, meaning not necessarily from food, right? Where there are also supplements where your vitamin C is actually coming from a fruit, and it's that they call that also the cofactors, like the things around like your vitamins. If the cofactors are there, right, so it's actually coming from a whole food, it's a lot easier to get absorbed.
I only do whole food vitamin C. Only.
You need to, everyone needs to, but it's something I really always want to tell people.
That's important.
I don't think we often talk about it, right? And it's
no, people are doing synthetic.
Where are your vitamins? If you
and absorbic and all these different kinds, right?
Yeah.
And they don't even understand. They think they're doing the best thing for their body, but not necessarily. If you really want the whole food vitamin C, as well as, it's really more ideal to get your vitamin D from outside.
100%. Yeah.
And just
not always easy though, with the way we
not
live.
always easy, but
depending
30
on
minutes,
how much sun there is,
30 minutes outside, even
if
the sun is not out on a cloudy day, you still get your vitamin D.
And I think what I've learned, which we have a tendency, right, if the sun is shining, is to actually always put sunglasses on, but actually you don't
do that. Not for at least 30 minutes.
You need to see the sun, and actually also if your forearms
on
are
your skin
exposed, actually make more vitamin D. So there's some of those little things that can actually really help.
Yeah, like you need to be able to get it to the skin to get like the full effect. I'm not saying go around naked in your backyard or anything,
Well, the
but
backyard is fine, not the front yard.
no, Linda said I should. But it's just so interesting when you really start diving into health, and don't feel overwhelmed today. Just take the tidbits that we give you and learn, and just know that there's so much that we can learn, but you just add a little bit to your arsenal every day. If you want to make some changes, start brightening up your plate with some greens and maybe some red pepper and some different things.
Eat the rainbow, right? I think
Yeah.
it's a very easy tip, but if you start focusing right on your fruit and vegetables, eating a lot of different colors, you're naturally eating a lot of different nutrients as well, because colors are actually right, the different antioxidants, different nutrients as well. So it's such an easy way to just start already adding a lot of different nutrients to your diet.
Yeah, like I love a colorful plate, and I had Tosca Reno from the clean eating diet on. It's been a little while, but when she came on, she literally had flowers in her salad. It was just so beautiful and pretty, but she was talking about, of course, you can't eat all flowers, but the nutrient value and the flowers that she had in the salad. So I just find that it does make a colorful plate to have all these fresh vegetables and fruits.
Yeah.
And so are you also eating nuts, seeds, grains, or do you err to the side of, oh, I don't eat this because it's too high in carbohydrates? Or do you just say everything all natural, no meat is good?
Yeah, I'm so I call it whole food plant-based. I eat rice. I definitely eat all the carbs, potatoes, all those things.
I love potatoes.
I love potatoes. I truly believe we need it all, right? We need carbs, we need proteins, we need fats. And I think we just need to, where we need to start talking about is like to truly eat whole foods, right? I think overall we're just eating way too much processed food, right? And it's just really go back to nature. And I think it's so interesting because I truly believe that healthy eating doesn't have to be so complicated, right? But it does require you to like learn some new recipes, potentially like cook some more of your own meals. And I think sometimes we got lost of that a little bit, right? We're eating out a lot. There's so much packaged food, but like make your own smoothie in the morning, make your own oatmeal in the morning, make, a big salad, or like really, like just make things yourself again. Because then you actually know what's truly in there. And I think it's very interesting because we often tend to cook the same recipes over and over again, right? So, like your Super Life cookbook has like 100 recipes. You don't need to make all those things. So what we often need to do is like try to find, right? You have your 10 go-to recipes, maybe start slowly one by one switching them out and try to find your new 10 recipes that are healthier, contain potentially some more plant-based recipes in there as well, and more different, fruit and veggies you're using. And make this new arsenal that you can fall back on, right? That can be super easy recipes. It doesn't have to be complicated. A lot of the recipes that we have in the book, right, you do in 20 minutes or less. And I think that is where we need to focus on, right? Because it doesn't have to be that hard.
And I realized you graduated from the IIN too as well. So that's cool. We went to the same school for nutrition. And I also have been teaching yoga for, oh my gosh, I was trying to think how long. Geez, probably since my son was born, and he will be 26 in May.
That's a long time. My son, 6 months, just became a mom. So I'm learning about kids' food right now too, which is fantastic and so fun.
So I love this. Now tell me, do you have cooking videos?
So we have done a lot always. We have a big Facebook group. So Your Super is a business we've been building over the last 9 years this year. So it has been quite a while. And we have different superfood mixes that we created. And within that business, we often have done Facebook and Instagram lives where we, cook for, with people, really what it always feels like, where we're, cooking live, Michael, me together, and just take you in our kitchen, which we love doing.
I love that. I think you should do some cooking videos, more visual of you doing the cooking, because people eat that up, because in our society, so many people are busy and they don't know how to cook at all.
I know.
And you'd be surprised, because it seems so natural to you, but it doesn't feel natural to other people. And so with you teaching those cooking videos, people would be having this learning experience, which I think would really sell your Super Life cookbook. And I really could see you doing this, like, on television, getting on some shows. And when does your book come out?
April 18th.
April 18th. Wow, that's not too long.
4 weeks. It's coming really,
Are
really
you excited?
Super excited. I mean, this has been like a 2-year
Super excited.
Super excited. It has been a 2-year project, and so much just love and passion went in there. So I'm excited to share it with the world.
It is exciting. And my husband had some heart issues, and so we really went a lot more plant-based. He's gotten a lot better. So, it's a whole, I mean, as a fitness competitor, that was an odd thing for me, but I still had no problem putting on some muscle. And
I mean, I think the movie, right, The Game Changers, I think is such a fantastic example of amazing athletes, right? And even the strongest man in the world who is only eating plants. And I think
right. I have a bodybuilder on my show that BioOptimizer's founder, or it might be co-founder, is totally vegetarian, vegan, like did everything, bodybuilding, won a championship with not being a carnivore.
And it's very interesting, because often what happens, right, in a plant-based diet is very reduces inflammation in your body. That's also the reason for whatever illnesses you might have. It can be very healing, because often illnesses are rooted in inflammation, so your inflammation goes down. But if you think about it from a perspective from an athlete, it's also super interesting, because the lower you work out and you you put stress on your body, at the moment, that is inflammation, right? So if you eat an actually vegan diet, yet inflammation is faster going to go down, meaning you're recovering faster, and therefore also faster can train again and actually do more. So it's often athletes focus on how can I shorten my recovery time to feel really good again, so I can go out again and again put that stress and that stretch on actually getting better. So I think it's exciting to see in the world we live, where more and more, right, athletes and just very amazing people, even on that diet, where if I think 20 years ago, right, there were only if you were vegan, you were kind of the hippie and the weird one. And that's really changing.
Now, how do you make it tasty? I think sometimes people feel like when they're just eating, they're not having any kind of meats, that they're having a bland diet.
Yeah. So I'm not only eating salad and carrot sticks, because I think that's what people think, like, oh, only this raw salads, oh my God, how do I do this? I think when you start eating plant-based, what you realize, first of all, is how many different vegetables are truly there, right? I think before, from the pumpkins to the radishes to obviously tomatoes and broccoli, we all eat, but there's just so many different vegetables out there that we tend to kind of forget about. So I think that's super interesting. And then I think the one thing I would really advise is to really start focusing on your spices, right? So definitely get really easy, can just being, getting some spice mixes from a curry powder, different chili powder mix, because it's really fun to start experimenting with that. And I think once you understand how to use your spices, you can actually start rotating out the vegetables and keep creating new things.
Well, I mean, I personally don't have a problem with just eating the vegetables the way that they are. I think that we eat too many foods that are processed, and they overpowering your taste buds to where you can't really taste the beautiful essence of real
True.
natural food. And that when you wean your taste buds after a few weeks off of all the, overpowering foods, that you learn that, oh, the sweet potato is like
It's so good.
ambrosia with some cinnamon, and some good
Totally
fat.
right. And
Like,
that can go so fast, right?
yeah.
I think so. We've created this 5-day detox, and people literally go through it. And I have this very funny story from someone where they're like, okay, I'll do this 5-day detox, which is really just 5 days of plant-based eating, and incorporating different superfoods. And she's like, I'll do that for 5 days, and then I'm going to go to my favorite donut shop, and on Saturday I'm going to get a donut. So she does the 5 days. On Saturday goes to her donut shop, takes the bite, and it's like, this is disgusting, right? She wrote,
100%.
She wrote us an email with like, I'm actually very upset because I don't like my favorite food anymore because it doesn't taste good, right? So
oh my gosh, that happens with people all the time on my plan. I told them, you're not going to like that fruit pumpkin spice latte anymore. And she was like, it was sickeningly sweet when she went back, and she didn't believe me at all, but then she didn't like it anymore.
It's so interesting, right? And I mean, 5 days, like it can go so fast, and everyone can change the way they eat for 5 days or for a week, right? And I think it's often just creating those new habits, and then suddenly, things, your taste buds change, and it suddenly does taste really good. So yeah, it's
I love that.
Totally with you. Fruit and veggies.
I love the whole
amazing
experience of you telling about that, because I think that that's a reality for people to realize. Like, also, I mean, I can't help myself when somebody wants to eat birthday cake. I'm like, do you want Crisco cake? Like, and not to, name brands, but like if there's Crisco in the icing, can you imagine just taking a glob of Crisco and eating it? I'm just saying, like, think about it. It's the way you're thinking about it. Instead, you're seeing this beautiful, not that a cake isn't delicious, but you're seeing this beautiful cake that's all nicely decorated. But if you literally think about what are the ingredients in that cake, I think it could be a deterrent.
And I think that's
the food coloring
you just said is so important. My number one tip for anyone always is because often people look at labels from, food, turn around the label. And if you look at the table, I always say skip the table and actually look at the ingredient list. Like, what is actually truly in the food you're eating, right? Versus don't just look at like the calories and, all of that, but just like what is actually in the food you're eating, because then you have to like kind of make that connection of like, what am I putting into my body, right? And if you don't know what these things are, it's like this long list with weird names and like you cannot pronounce it, a lot of X's, you probably don't want to eat it. And if you just don't know what it is, at least look it up and then determine for yourself, is this something I actually want to put into my body? And the sentence, right, of like, we are what we eat, that is actually true, right? Like our liver is a new liver every 3 months, right? So like, yes, it truly does matter what you eat. We are what we eat. And it's just up for you to like be conscious about it and then make decisions of like, hey, do I want to put this into my body? Yes or no?
And if it lasts on the shelf for 10 years, it's a no.
I agree.
It's a no. Oh my gosh. Or it doesn't melt on the sidewalk. If it's ice cream and it doesn't melt on the sidewalk, there's something in there that you shouldn't be putting in your body, because our bodies are fearfully and wonderfully made, and we have so many amazing chemical processes. You want to treat yourself like a Lamborghini and put only the best fuel inside. And that's why I love your whole take on the plant-based eating. Why do you say that true health is not really just about how you look?
Because I think you can be very skinny and very unhealthy, right? And you can look very like in shape and all of that, but it doesn't mean you're actually healthy. What to me is true health is not about the way you look. I always say it's about how you feel. right? Are you tired, or are you feel vibrant, and do you feel alive, and do you just have all the energy, right? And just feel really, you just feel good in your body. It's not the way it looks, but do you feel good in your body? And can you do whatever you want to do in your life, right? I think that's truly what, for me, true health is. And it's not always about being the most, thinnest person. It's everyone's weight, and your perfect healthy weight is a little bit different for everyone, right? And I think in society we have these very little rigid, really, beauty standards. And I think that's like not necessarily healthy. And I think we should just start focusing on how we're actually feeling. And the funny thing is, you might actually lose some weight along the way anyways, but like, I don't think that actually should be the focus.
I love that. And that goes right along with my podcast I just had about how to unsubscribe from letting the scale dictate your worth. And that it was more about what you're saying about how do you feel, and, taking care of yourself, like a self-love versus looking in the mirror and hating on yourself, looking in the mirror and saying, oh, I really like, I like the muscle, I like the delts, I like it when I do this exercise, I like the way it builds me up, or I love to run, it feels so good to be outside in nature and it energizes me. It's so different from the critical eye of looking at yourself in the mirror and hating a body part, or just hating your weight, because hating your weight never made it change. And it really isn't probably about that. It's something far deeper.
And I think, I totally agree. I don't think I've owned a skill since college. So I don't think we actually, I don't even have one. So like, if you have an unhealthy relationship with a skill, maybe just throw it out, right? Because you actually don't really need it. And it is, as a women, right? It's so interesting because also our weight fluctuates. It fluctuates with our hormones, with our cycle. It's not going to be every day and every week the same. There are so many factors that, actually influence our weight. So that shouldn't be actually the goal. And I think it's like, hey, let's just like start focusing on truly being healthy, and like, what does that mean? And what should I be eating to be healthy? Not what I shouldn't be eating, right? Let's focus on what you should be eating. And that's also very different,
right.
a very different mindset, because if we're only focused on what we shouldn't be eating, that is so negative, right? And it's also completely the wrong focus, because you're only focusing actually on all the things you shouldn't be eating, but you're only focusing on that, which is really hard, right? So let's start focusing on what you should be eating. And they call it the crowding out principle. I personally love that, that concept where you focus on what you should be eating, and therefore you start eating less of the things you shouldn't be eating anyways, but we're not going to focus on those.
I think that that's the key, is really focusing on taking care of this body, loving it, giving it the best possible fuel that's good for us, because I don't think it's depriving. I mean, there's so many fun ways that you can make salads and dishes, and I make all kinds of, like, if you tell me something you like, I could make it in a healthy way.
Exactly.
And it's just the whole process of what you said. You are what you eat is a true statement. Our body replenishes its cells every 7 years. So you're always changing and evolving and turning over. Yeah. So even if you say, I have been eating McDonald's every day, you could stop today and start picking up some of these habits and make your whole life change.
And something you earlier said, right? It's step by step, it's small steps, because I think we live a little bit in a society where it's very black and white, right? Oh, I ate one wrong thing. Like, oh my, like this week is ruined. It doesn't matter all anymore. I'll start next Monday again. And you're never going to be like, there is no perfect. You're never going to be perfect, right? So it's just like, just doing the best with every meal you're eating, and just like becoming a little bit better, right? Like really have that grace with yourself as well, and learn to really listen to your body. I think we often are looking on the outside of the external. What should I be eating? What should I be doing? What do I need to do? And I think we all need to also start learning to listen to ourselves again. Like to truly, after you eat A, how does it make you feel? If you eat B, how does it make you feel? Right. And to like really get in touch with your own body again, because we're all different. And I think there's just like this piece of like really this, we all have this gut instinct and this feeling, and like start listening and trusting it again.
I love that. Love that so much. Tell us a little bit about why you started your company, Super,
Yeah.
and why you're so excited about the cookbook.
The company Your Super was really, so it's different powders. So we have greens powder, berry powder, we have vegan protein powders. Michael and me truly love those superfood powders. We source them from all over the world. We look at Ayurvedic medicine, we look at Eastern medicine, South America, like the ingredients they've used, for really how they use food as medicine. And we came up with those different functions. We have an amazing moon balance mix, which is for hormone balance. And I'm excited about that because it's very easy to use, right? Powder is something you can always have at home. We all need more greens, right? So I love adding more greens to whether it's my smoothie or different things I'm making. So for me, it's just a really easy way of just adding that extra bit of micronutrients and extra bit of health to my daily life. And the book, I'm excited about it. Obviously, the superfoods are like part of that is in there. But it's just a lot of very easy recipes, and where we just talked about, right? Like it doesn't have to be that hard. And in the book, we have the meal plans. We talk about your super way of eating, which is like, hey, what are some of the very easy changes you can make to like, start eating healthier. But I truly just hope to inspire people to find those new 5 to 10 easy recipes where you're like, oh, I really like these. And I can, even when I'm tired after work and I only have 20 minutes, I can throw this together, right? And one of the things that I created in that book is we have how-to sections. And basically where it's how to build a smoothie, how to build, like how to make a pasta in 5 steps, how to make a curry in 5 steps. So with whatever vegetables you have at home, I want you to start creating your own recipes as well. So I want people to understand the basic steps. And if you happen to have a pumpkin and a broccoli, you know how to throw together that curry, right? So it's easy things like that that I really hope, inspire and help people along their health journey of, start eating more plants.
Well, I really have enjoyed talking with you today. And where can everybody get your book, get you on social media, and do you have also something for the audience today?
Yeah, so we have basically the book is everywhere. It's on Amazon, Target, Barnes and Noble, like everywhere where you normally would, want to buy your books. They're also going to be in store, but you can pre-order them right now still on all those websites. And then you can follow us either on at Your Superfoods, but Michael and me also have our own account, Kristel at Kristel and Michael. So I hope to see everyone there.
And oh, I just have to say, you already made me want to go open up my crisper and get my vegetables out. And, I already feel cleaner and fresher.
That's good.
Just talking to you about eating plants. And I bet everybody out there is more inspired to live a healthier lifestyle. So I just thank you for coming on the Sisterhood of Sweat today.
Thank you for having me. And I hope everyone is eating more plants today and many days to come.
Thank you. And thanks everybody for listening to this episode of the Sisterhood of Sweat. Please reach out, get the book, and also let us know in a review how much you like this episode, and share to anyone that you want to get started on a healthier lifestyle. Bye everyone.